this month because it seems like we are all. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Somebody is disturbing me here. I'm sure by now we are all refreshed and we are excited about this afternoon class. I guess in the morning we're a bit cold, maybe because of the harmattan or something. I don't know. But we're not up to the number of people that were here in the morning. I don't know what's wrong. You think we should wait for them? Or we should continue? All right, no problem, Ozioma. But it seems most of us seems to be having maybe light issue or batteries. Our battery is bad. Don't worry. You come, I'll give you later. I'm sorry, I'm coming. My internet. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry for somebody is distracting me beside me. Okay, I'm back here. So actually the light has actually been bad. NEPA has just been misbehaving. I hope things will be better. These are the opportunity for you to get your PVC. So you vote for a better power, better people in power, right? So that we can have basic amenities that can benefit us. So I was saying that hope we are all excited and ready for today's class. If you're excited and ready for today's class, can I see your comment in the comment section? Can you drop an emoji? Can you drop an emoji? All right. Is it only Ojoma that is in class today? All right, I can see Peace. I can see Daniel. Hi, Joma, how are you? I can see EJ, I can see Eric. So did we go through the try it yourself? And do we have any questions so far? So I said after the class, we are going to look at what forms. And I was going to share something for you again concerning your assignment, right? But your first open, yes?
Please, I have a question.
All right, so what is your question?
I started working on the CSF float picture. The one on the road to the right, the left, and none. I'm trying to put the three of them together in the same file. But every time I run it, it's just showing me my picture and everything at just the right side. I don't know if I'm making a mistake.
How are you floating? Are you floating to the left or are you floating to the right?
The first one I did it in one page in the VS Code. The first one I floated to the right, the second one to the left. Then the third one I did one
to the right, right? So just float everything to the left.
Oh, okay. If I float everything to the left, that means it will appear as left in my browser.
Oh no. It's not be at left. Just use float left first and see how it goes.
Okay, to the left. Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So any other question?
Sorry, I wanted to ask, is it anytime you want to start each one, you will still input that doc type HTML?
No, that's if you're starting a new file, right?
Okay. I think that's where my problem is coming. Because each one I started with doc type HTML. That's why it was just showing only the first one I did.
Okay, can you share your screen? Let me see your screen. I'll make you post.
I'm using my phone. I don't know if I should snap it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, snap if I see your phone there.
I've snapped it. Should I send it to the group chat?
Yes, yes. Does anybody else have question? Does anybody else has question? I'm yet to see it though.
I've sent it. I've sent it.
All right. Oh, you don't always put doc type HTML. You don't always put, you don't, okay. You don't always put doc type HTML and you just have one HTML and you just have one head and you just have one body, right? And one style. So you don't have to keep repeating. There are some things that you don't repeat. It's the things in your body that you would create to be in your body, but your doc type, your HTML, your head, your body, you don't do that, right? So adjust it.
Okay.
Yes. So who else has questions? Please ask me questions so that I can put you through so we don't do mistakes, right? And we don't do the wrong things. So please ask questions. So yes, it's you.
Okay. Please, under this HTML layout, try it yourself. I don't know if you can share your screen because I'm using my phone.
Okay. I'm coming. I'm coming.
All right.
The numbers have really dropped from in the morning. No? Where are the remaining people? Which of you try it yourself? Responsive or payout?
Layout.
All right, one of them.
Okay, I think the first one. Yes, let's try it yourself.
Which one? This one?
No, this one. This one.
This one?
Yes. Okay, where we have, okay, can you go to the beginning of the comments? Okay, where we have this meter chart setup. So I don't know what's that about, please.
Correct. So let me just take you through the head.
Okay.
So the head talks about everything that there is in the head element, right?
Okay.
So in the head element, there is a container to contain all the elements that won't show in your body, right?
Okay.
So this head element, it includes metadata.
Okay.
So metadata basically means data about data. And this data about data is placed in between your HTML tag and the body tag. So the metadata is a data about the HTML document and the metadata is not displayed. So the metadata basically defines what? Document title, character sets, your styles, your scripts, also responsive. It also responsive meta information that you need to know. See
Okay.
this. So can you see? So this MUTFA is your character set. It's just defining your character, the compatibility and where it should be. And this one is for your, this metadata is for your what? Responsive. That
Okay.
is, should it be responsive and all of those things, right?
Okay.
So for your head, you also have title. So it's title that you use to what? Include what? All your name that will show in your browser tab. Like the way we have here now. The title here is what? HTML head.asp. So that's the title here. No, that's not title. That is
I've not
HTML head.
titled.
Yeah, the title is HTML head elements. So that's the title. And we can see the fav icon. I taught us about fav icon yesterday. So they added the fav icon to your title. So it defines
It's like your
the
screen is not
browser.
showing me. What I can see here is the HTML. Okay. Let's scroll down.
Okay. So it provides a title for the page when it is added to favorites, and it displays a title for the page in search engine. That is when you're searching for it. This is what makes your searching easier. Now you can easily allocate things because it will take you to exactly what you're looking for. So you always try to make your title as accurate and meaningful as possible because that's what improves your search engine. So you're talking about meta, right? So the meta element is just used to specify the character set, like I said before, the page description, keywords, author of documents, and viewport setting. The viewport setting deals with the responsiveness of your page. So the metadata will not be displayed on the page, but are used by what browsers on how to display content or reload page and using keywords, right? And other web services. So this character chart set is for character set, like I said earlier. Then you can also use meta words to define keywords for search engine in your web page, I mean your text editor, in your index.html. It can be used to define a description of your web page. You can use it for description. You can use to define the author, that is who wrote the content, if it's an article or whatever. It can also be this meta. It can also be used for you to refresh your document every 30 seconds. That is for every 30 seconds, you should keep refreshing, and also how your data should look like. So yes, that's that about your meta. Is that clear?
Yes, it is. Thanks.
So, okay. So that was your question, right?
Yes.
So the meta and metas and the meta shall audio data meta, it just means data of data. That is, you're trying to use it to get data
Okay.
about something. It can be character sets, it can be description, it can be your author's name, it can be for your viewport section, right? So any other question before we proceed? Any other question? Any other question? Okay, proceed. All right. Today, I don't know. Is it just me or today's energy and vibe is kind of different? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Most of us are not in class, like majority. And out of everybody that is not here or that is supposed to be here and that is not here, only 2 people told me that they will not be around. You see why accountability is actually very important. It's okay if you not be around, but actually talk. Always like speak up, right? Maybe because today is Friday, even if like always let the people that are like your moderators or Tolu know the reason why you're not in class. Don't just decide or choose not to be a part of your class. It's very important. Your attendance matters because it matters so that you can like follow through and you don't draw the class back if you don't come or if you miss a class. All right, so let's continue. So if you're excited to go into forms, can I see a show of hands? Can you drop an emoji in the chat box for me? You guys should hype me up, hype me up so that we can have this class. Okay. I'm trying to increase the energy, actually. I don't like the energy. Today just seems dull, just seems quiet and all of that. So let's continue. I've seen some messages on the group chat. So who knows about Google Forms? Who have seen Google Forms before? If you know about Google Forms, or even you even use them, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you give me a thumbs up in the chat box? All right. Who else apart from Ozioma? All right, Beauty. So it's only Beauty and Ozioma. Okay, Miriam. Okay, who else knows about Google Docs? I mean Google Forms. Okay, Anu. Who else? All right, I guess I've seen enough. And Merive Ojoya. So basically, Google Docs, right? I mean Google Forms is much similar to these HTML forms that I'll be doing here, right? Google Forms just made things and made life easier by creating an avenue for us to create our forms. But normally, if I want to create forms, right, on the web, is our what? HTML forms that we'll use to achieve this. Normally, even Google Forms is made up of HTML, actually. It's HTML and CSS they use to create that, right? But they've just made it in a form that you just only use drag and drop. I don't know if anybody have used WordPress before, right? Or you own a blog. You notice that some of your blog posts or blog activities, if you want to do, you just drag and drop because they've already helped you with your HTML and CSS. It's the same thing that Google Docs have done. Google Docs have helped you out with your HTML and CSS, but it was built using HTML and CSS, using what? HTML form. So we all know what a form is used for. A form is used to what? Collect your user inputs. So your user input is most often sent to a server for processing. So every time I want to do all these login details, maybe if you want to just sign up on Facebook for the first time, right? Or Instagram or wherever I want to sign up in for the first time. What collects our data and inputs, right? Is from what? Is from the what? It's from the this is a form. This thing that just this small thing here is a form, right? And this sign up, all of these things here is also a form. So we're creating this Facebook form, right? So we're creating the sign up page and we'll be creating the sign up page and the other ones, but we don't have to put CSS to it yet because it's just HTML. I thought you've not done full CSS. So I'm sorry, I have a cold. Excuse me. Jesus Christ. Amen. Oh, thank you, Ozioma. Thank you, Joshua. So we were creating this form, right? So we're creating the Facebook form and also a Google form. You can do it. But it's just the HTML part we'll be doing for now. We'll later do the what CSS part. but we'll not be doing it in the class. To be our homework. But I'll show you all that you need to achieve that, right? So the HTML form is just basically to collect inputs from user, which is often sent to a server for processing. But in most cases, not every time that is sent to the server for processing, sometimes it's used to collect what information, just collect input, especially Google Forms. If you want to carry out a project or you want to do a research, you write a Google form on how to go about that. So that can work. So we can use the form elements. So the form elements is used to create an HTML form for user inputs. So the form element is a container for different types of input elements, such as text fields, checkboxes, radio box, and submit buttons, right? So there are different form elements, and it's covered in this in this chapter. So we'll come back to it, right? Just wanted to show us that. So it's covered more in the form elements. But there's something you should also note. We have the input elements, right? So the form element is a container for different types of input elements, such as text, checkboxes, radio box, submit buttons, and all of that, right? We also have the input element. The HTML input element is the most used form element. So an input element can be displayed in many ways depending on the type attributes. So here are some examples. So we have the input type. So if you have a text, it just basically means that it will display a single line of text input field. If you have radio, don't worry, I'll show you what a radio button is in case if you don't know. But if you want to select different, like if you have different options, right? I want to pick out of the different options that you have, is your radio button that helps you achieve that. The radio button that is like round and all of that. Person that is unmuted should mute, please. You also have checkboxes. So your checkboxes help you select from zero or more choices. So radio button, you can only choose one. While for checkboxes, you can choose nothing or you can choose more than one. Then we have our input type, which is submit. What that one does is that it displays a submit button at the end of your form or whatever you're trying to create, your form basically, and it helps you collect whatever the input you've collected and helps you submit it to your server or where you need it to be to be. Then we also have button. So the button displays a this clickable button that is you can click on it and it can carry out all the functions that you want it to carry out. So the text field, the input type text, what it does is that it defines a single line input field for your text input. So this is it. So now, can you see this? This is what your text input does. It helps you collect text where maybe you need a form that should collect a text. Maybe the text should include your name, your surname, all of those things are text, right? So it's your input text you will use for that. Then we also have our label. So can you mute yourself?
No,
So
let
this
me
is
refresh.
how the HTML code above will be displayed in the browser, like this, right? The form itself is not visible. Also know that the default width of an input field is for 20 characters. So for input field is 20 characters you can accept. That is from A, B is just 20 characters, from A to Z, just 20 characters you can pick. So there's also the label elements. You notice that the use of the label elements in the example above. Look at it here. They use it. Can you see label? They use the label input. So the label input is just basically to give a definition to the inputs you're trying to receive. Maybe you're trying to receive your name input, whatever inputs you're trying to receive. So the label just helps you like define it, right? And give it a name. So the label also is useful for screen reader users because the screen readers will read out loud the label when the user focus on the input label. So for people that are visually impaired, the label is also very important so that they know what they are feeling. Okay, they will know if it's their first name, their second name, or whatever they're trying to feel. So the label element also helps users who have difficulty clicking on very small regions, such as radio boxes and all of that, all of those, because when the users click the text between the label elements, it toggles the radio buttons and what's the checkbox. And the four attributes of the label tag should be equal to the ID attributes of the input elements to bind them together. This is what it means. That these four here, these four attributes, right, which includes my name, F name, should always be similar to this ID name here for it to work together. So for it to be binded together, that has to work. So for radio box, you define a radio box by using a select one of a limited number of choice. So this is how your radio box is. They say choose your favorite web page. So you can only choose one. Is that you choose HTML, or you choose what, CSS, or you choose JavaScript. You cannot choose two or three of them together. So this is what a radio box looks like, right? And if you can see the label for HTML here, it tallies with the ID name here, right? HTML tallies with the HTML name, HTML, right? And the type here, CSS, tallies with the 4 here, CSS. Right? So you can see that. So we also have the checkbox. The checkbox is used to define a checkbox. That is, you cannot pick anything, or you can pick more than one, or you can pick everything and you submit, right? So already received the data. That's why I said received data. So all right, so let's continue. So that's for the checkboxes, right? There's also the submit button. So the submit button is at the end of the form that you've collected. Maybe it's in checkboxes, it's in text, or it's in radio button. Your submit helps you submit the value, right? Helps you submit the value that you've collected and text to your web browser or your database where it is solved. So the input type submit, it defines a button for submitting the form data to a form handler. And the form handler is typically a file on the server with the script for processing input data. And the form handler is specified in the forms action. So we also have name attribute for input, right? So the name attribute is to give the name, right? So it's to give the name of the value you're trying to accept. So if the name attribute is omitted, the value of the field input will not be sent at all. So it will not be sent at all if your name value is omitted. So always include your name value. So this is where your name value is. So thanks. You say your input was received as something, something, something. Right. So can you see that? So that's what your name. So if you see this thing now, it should not be submitted. First name field will not be submitted because the input element does not have a name attribute. There's no name attribute here, right? So until there's a name attribute before what, it should be submitted. Otherwise, it won't be what's submitted. So we can try this first exercise. So let's all try this first exercise. And when you're done, give me a thumbs up. So have you all done this exercise?
Hello, Mama. Is it the name attribute?
Yes.
Okay.
The exercise in the HTML forms, the first one.
Okay.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This first one. So when you are done, just say done so that we can move to the next one. I'm expecting our thumbs up if you are done so that we can move to the next one. Are we done? It's just only the first one, the first exercise we should do so that we can proceed. And nobody following me. What's going on today? I don't like today's energy. Okay. Okay. I've seen 4 dons. Okay, fifth one. So it was just the first one I expected us to do. Okay, I've seen a lot of done. So we can move now to form attributes, right? So for form attributes, this chapter describes. So the action attributes. The action attributes define, we all know what an attribute is, right? You can remember when I described what an attribute means. So our attribute always have Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you make me host?
Okay, ma. Done.
All right, thank you. All right, you can see my screen, right? So who can remember this target attribute? Who can remember? Can you remember that we saw this target
You make me
attribute?
co-host. Sorry,
Okay.
can you make me co-host so in case?
You're co-host already.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. All right. So who can remember when we use these target attributes? Anybody?
When you
Hello,
want to open in a new window or a new tab,
All right, that was
you want
we
to
saw
open
it.
in a new tab.
Yes, when we're doing link, right? It was when we're doing link, we saw it. So all these target attributes, which includes blank, self, parent, stop, is similar to the one we used in the link, right? And how it responds is similar to the one that of how it responded when you were using the link. That is, if you use blank, it should show in a new window or tab. If you use self, that same window where you are. Do you know what a window is? Do you know what a window is? Do you know what a tab is? Okay, let me just explain. So right now, at the moment, I'm in a what? I'm in a tab, right? Now I've moved to another tab. Now I've moved to another tab. Now I've moved to another tab. If I leave this complete environment, I have left the window and I'm in another window. Is that clear? So if I do that, I've left the window and I'm what? In another what? Window. Can we see that? All right. So that's the difference between what? Window and a tab. So when your response is displayed in a new window or tab, that is showing in a new tab, like you're leaving this tab where your page is running and you're going elsewhere, or you're going to a new window entirely, that is, we're leaving this old environment to go to another Chrome. Then if your response is delayed in the current, is displayed in the current window, that is where I am now. When I click on it, it just reloads to another thing. I'm not leaving where I am. That's for self. Why for parents? The response is displayed in the parent frame. That is, for instance, we have like HTML and CSS in a website. Excuse me. The home page is the parent, right? Why those other ones, they are leaving it to go to the other place. So if you use parents, it will show in the parent frame, that is the home page. That is where it's going to show. White top is to display in the full body of the window. And while for framing, the response would be displayed in an iframe. We didn't check out iframe, but you can look at iframes from here so that you understand what that means. So the default value here is always self, which means that it's open in the current window or current tab. So you can try it to see how the method attribute works. So when you click on this, can you see? Can you see? Event what? To this, to a different one, right? Event to a different tab. So that's that. So there's also another attribute called what? Method. I is the HTTP method, right, to be used by submitting the form data. So the form data can be sent as a URL variable, right? So with the method get, or as HTTP post transaction with the method what posts. So when you click on this, try it yourself. You see what it does. So can you notice that the value is visible, it's still loading, right? So what it does is that it uses the get method when submitting the form. So the methods attribute specify the ATP method to be used when submitting the form. It can be get or it can be post. And when you use the post when submitting the form, for this is more note to the URL in name / value pairs. It never use get to send sensitive data. Like if you're trying to submit data that are super sensitive, that you know that nobody else is supposed to know, that if they easily hack, they cannot have access to it. Don't use get, right? You won't use get. And the length of a URL is limited. And this is useful for form submission where a user wants to bookmark the results. So if you want to bookmark the results, you can use what get. And get is good for non-secure data, like query strings in Google. So if that data is not really secure, you can use get. Why for post, the method that teacher used to get your input, it appends the form data inside the body of the HTTP quest. That is, the submitted form data is not going to show in the URL. Why forget, the one you submitted to show in the URL. So can you see? This is what I mean. Can you see in the URL? It's telling you what you are doing. It's saying that your first name is what? John, and your last name is Dio. It has already given you your inputs in your URL. But for a get, you cannot do that. Let me show you. Submit. So can you see? Forget, you cannot see your value in your URL the way you will see it in your words, the way you see it in your, I mean for post rather. This get is when you use get, you will see this. But when you use post, you will see this. You can see that you cannot see anything. So, and post is also used for secure data. If your data wants to be secured, if you want to secure your data, you use what? Post, so that your data can be secured and it's not everybody that sees the information that you are trying to receive or what you're trying to do. Do you have a question? Who is that person? Eh? What's your question? So if you're not talking to me, please, can you mute? Okay, thank you. So post has no size limitation and can be used to send large amount of data. It can be used to send large amount of data. It does not have any size limitation. And the form submission with post cannot be bookmarked. That is, you cannot bookmark what you do with what post. So there's also autocomplete attributes. The complete attribute specifies whether a form should be autocomplete on or off. So the autocomplete is on, and the browser automatically complete values based on values that the user has entered what before. So the form comes with what? Autocomplete what? On, right? There's also the no validate attribute. Is a Boolean attribute. So what's a Boolean? A Boolean is a data type, right? When you do JavaScript, you get to understand this better. So a Boolean is a data type. And what are data types? Data types are ways at which your data, like if information data can be saved when you are trying to write a code. So they are integers, they are strings, they are Booleans. So Boolean data types, what they do is that they return true or false for a condition. That is, if you're trying to do a condition, that is, if you're trying to host a party, right? and they said that the only people that can attend this party is 18 years old, or maybe the party is for smaller children, and the oldest person that can come for the party is 10 years old. So if you're older than 10, don't enter this party. So how you get to like return true and false? Like if somebody is coming into the party, you get to ask them, how old are you? Then their age will determine if they will enter or not. So if they are greater than 10, is to return what's false. That is to give them denial from entry party. But if it's less than 10 or equal to 10, it's what return what's true. That is, they can gain access. So the Boolean works similar like that, right? Boolean is to return true and false. So when present, it specifies that the form data input should not be validated when submitted. So that's that about that. So let's quickly do the exercise here so that we can move to form elements. So if you are still with me, can I get a thumbs up when you are done doing this exercise? So let's do this quickly so we can move to the next one. So I'm waiting for our thumbs up. So I want to say our thumbs up when we're done. Okay, I'm not available on WhatsApp now because my phone is down, right? So I switched off my WhatsApp data so that I can focus here. So you can send me a DM here, like send me the private message here. I'm not available on WhatsApp at the moment. You can send me a private message here. So when we're done with this exercise, please say done or give me a thumbs up so we can move to HTML form element. All right, no problem. It seems today everybody's battery is low because everybody has been complaining. I've gotten like 3 requests now about somebody's battery being low. Is it that there's no light or the laptop? All right, no problem. If your battery is low, it's fine. Just make sure that you get the class recordings, right? Just make sure you get the recording. So let's continue. I've only one done I've seen. If I can see at least 5, we'll move to the next one. Only one done I've seen. Two dons now. I've just gotten 3 dons. I'm waiting for 2 more done so that we can move. I've gotten 3 done. I'm waiting for 2 more done. I've not still gotten 2 done, so should I just move like that? It's just 3 dons I've gotten. Please help me so that I can help everybody so we can proceed. If I can get at least 1 done, we will move to the next one. It's just 3 out of 5 that I've got. But at this moment, if I can get at least 1 more, we will proceed. Are you guys still there? Please respond to me. Oh,
please respond. Let's respond.
okay. All right. Okay, so we'll move to the next one, right? So for this next one is the form elements. So this form elements, it can contain one or more of the following form elements, right? So the form elements includes what? Inputs. Apart from your form, you have your inputs, you have your label, we have select, we have text area, we have button, we have field set, legend, data list, output, option, opt group. Actually, the elements are a lot. I honestly don't expect people to know everything in your head. The more familiar you get with it, right? The more you will know it, right? So it's okay if you don't know it. So the more conversant you work with it, the more familiar you are with it, you will get to know it, you will understand it, right? So for the input element, one of the most used form elements is the what? Input element is the most used form element because is what is going to enable you to collect maybe a text file, a radio box, a checkbox. Even if you submit, whatever action that you will take is defined with your what? Input element. Then also the label element. So the label element describes a label for several form elements. The label element is useful for screen readers because the screen reader will read out loud the label when the user focuses on the input, right? So I mentioned this when we're doing the forms that the 4 attributes of the label should always be equal to the ID attributes of the input element so that 2 of them can join together. So there's also the select elements. So the select element helps you do a drop down. You've seen drop down, right? So if you want to do a drop down, is your what? Select elements that will help you achieve that. So the option elements also defines an option that can be selected. So by default, the first item in the Dropbox list is what? Selected. To define a pre-selected option, add the selected attribute to the what? Option. Then there's also visible values. So you use the size attributes to specify the number of visible values. That is, how many values do you want to see? For instance, in this case, they say choose a car, and they kept what? 4 options. So the size attributes just to specify the number of visible values. How many values do you want to see? So can you see? We can see just 3, right? But we have 4 here. So the moment when we put 4 we show. But because we put 3 here, that's why we have what? We have 3. There's also multiple selection. So if you use multiple selection attributes, it allows you it allows the user to select more than one value. So option is found what? In select. So select is to choose between different what? Options. So we have what? Text area. The text area element defines a multi-line input field. That is to show you a multi-line. So the rows attribute specify the visible number of lines in a text, and the colon attributes specify the visible width of a text area. So this is how the code above will be displayed in your browser. You will also see this in HTML forms, that is to give you a larger space. So when I'm done explaining all of this, you can try it yourself first, then do the exercise before we move to the next one. So we also have the button elements. So the button elements defines a clickable button, that is you being able to click your button. Then we have the field set and the legend. So the field set element is used to group related data in a form, and the legend element defines a caption for the field set element, right? So that's what your legal and your field set element does. So this is how the HTML code will be displayed. So can you see? Can you see that? So there's also the data list elements. So data list element specifies a list of predefined options for an input element. So the users will see a drop-down list of the predefined options as they impute data. So the list of attributes of the input elements must refer to the ID attributes of the data list elements. There's also the output elements. So the output elements represents the result of a calculation, like one performed by a script. So I want us now to click on all the try it yourself and see how they work. And we should also do this exercise. And when we're done, we should give me a thumbs up in the group chat. So let's do that quickly. So do we all get that? So do we all get that? So do the try it yourself and the exercise so that we can move to the next one. All right. Thank you, Frederick, for replying. So I know that I'm not talking to myself alone. So let's do that quickly. I'm giving us few minutes to do that. And if you need any help, you can let me know so you can share your screen and I can help out. So click on the try it yourself on audio elements and do the exercise. So let's do that quickly. So nobody is done yet. I'm still expecting our done. So click on try it yourself in the form elements and do that exercise so we can move to the next one. By 1:15, if I don't get any done, we'll move regardless. So we have one done. I'll just give 1 minute grace to every other person. Then we move to input type. The different input type that exist. Okay, so there are different types of input type you can use, right? There are much more than we've seen earlier. Earlier, we just only saw checkbox, just only saw just a checkbox. We saw text, we saw radio, we saw button, but there's more than that, right? So there's button, there's checkbox, there's color, there's date time, there's for email, there's for file, there's for hidden, right? There's for image, there's for mouth, there's for number, there's for password, there's for radio, there's for range, reset, search, submit, tell, text, line, URL, week. So it's a lot, right? There are a lot of them. This one here you can see is for text. You've seen that earlier on. Then this is the one for password. The password is just for the password you are trying to collect. Then for submit. Well, you don't forget that is the first thing you put is your form, which has your attribute of action, then your label, then your input type. Then we have type reset if you want to reset. We have input type radio, that's for your radio button, right? We have input type for checkbox. We have input type for button. Can you see the examples down there? Can you see the examples? So that's for checkbox. This is for checkbox. This is for your button. You can see your button down there. Then we have input type. We have for date. We have for date time. So we have for date time and for local. We have for input type email. We have for our type file, right? It's a lot. You get to see all of this when you click on try it yourself. We have for hidden type also, for type months, for type number. Then there's input restrictions. So here is a list of some common input restrictions. What is input restriction is that it's just not allow your input to do some things, right? For instance, if you use checked, it specifies that an input field should be pre-selected when the page loads. Disenables, this specifies that an input field should be disabled. Maximum, this specifies the maximum value for an input field. Max length is the maximum number of characters for an input. Minimum is opposite of maximum. Then pattern, it specifies a regular expression to check the input value. Then read only, this one specifies that an input field is read only and it cannot be changed. Required, I'm sure you would have seen required from Google Map, Google Form, whereby if you will make it required, if the person does not fill it, you cannot submit your form. Your form cannot be submitted. Then there is size. This one specifies the width size, right? The input field and all of those things. There is step. This one specifies the legal number. There is value, right? So there is input type range. The range is when you are trying to choose between a particular number to another number. So you can say from 51 to 100, from A to B, from G to E, just giving you a range. There's input type search. This allows you to search for fields, right? There's also tell. Tell is to collect phone number. Then there's also input type time. This is collect the time. There's also input type URL. That's to collect like URL, like maybe the URL of a link, maybe your website or something. Then there's also input type week to collect number of weekdays, right? So we can just do this exercise. Then you try it yourself at our time. I'm not opening everything because it's already 120 something. If I start opening everything, we will not finish this before the class. So at your leisure time, you can try it yourself. You can check out everything to see how it is. So we can just do this exercise quickly so that we can move to the impute attributes. So this exercise should not waste time. So let's quickly do this exercise, and when you are done, give me a thumbs up. So we can move to impute attributes. So we can see that input types are actually a lot. There are a lot of them. So anything you want to do, you can achieve it using your input type. Whether you want to collect password, maybe anything you want to do, your input type will help you achieve that, right? So let's quickly do the exercise so we can finish these two other ones. I can give you the assignment. We can have a discussion before 2 p.m. So let's do that quickly. Then we can try it yourself at your leisure time. So if you've done the exercise, let me know. This exercise should not take time. Just give me a thumbs up so we can continue. We will move. So can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, I can see I can get one more thumb. We'll move to impute attributes. Then you can do the trials yourself at your leisure to finish it by 2. Please, can you make me host so that I can share my screen?
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you.
You can make me calls now. Thank you.
All right, you're co-host already.
Okay.
It's only in your last thumbs up I can see. So maybe we'll just move like that. You catch up. So the next one is what? Impute attributes. You can see that there was a lot of elements or input types. So there's different input attributes. We have the value and attributes. So the value attribute specifies an initial value, an input field. Then the read-on attributes, the input read-on attributes, it specified that an input field is read-only. Like that is a read-only input field and it cannot be modified. There's also disabled attribute. I listed all these attributes previously from the other ones. There's max length, minimum and maximum. I listed them from when we were doing, when I was explaining the input types. There is the multiple. There's a pattern. There is also placeholder attributes, right? There's also the required. There's the step attribute. There is autofocus attributes. We have the width and height and width attributes, right? We have the list attributes. We have the autocomplete attributes. So those are the attributes we have. So don't forget that I said that input is the most used attributes in your forms. So there are different types of attributes. So can we do this exercise quickly so we can move to the next one? So have we done it? Can we proceed? Okay, so let's move to the next one, which is the last one after you're done that exercise. So that's your input form attributes. So for your input form attributes, it specifies the form from the input element where it belongs to, right? And the value of its attributes must be equal to the ID. I've said that, like this is the third time they're repeating that. So for the form action attributes, so the attribute specifies the URL of the file that will process the inputs when the form is submitted. The form enc type attributes. The enc type attributes specify how the form data should be encoded when submitted, how it should be encoded. Then we have the form method attributes, which is for get and post. The way we had for our form attributes is the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. When to use post, when to use get. We've seen this earlier. Then we have the form get attributes. Then the form get attribute specifies a name or a keyboard that indicates where to display the response that is received after submitting the form. So after you submit the form, where should you put it? Like, when should you submit? The form no validate. So the no validate specifies that an input element should not be validated when submitted. So these attributes overrides the no validate attribute of the form element. You know, there's another no validate attribute for the form elements. So if you see form no validate attributes, it works with the following input types: submit. So it's when you use submit that it works. Then the no validate attributes is a form attribute, and when present, no validate specifies that all of the form data should be validated and submitted, right? So that's about our forms. So it would be good if you like go through everything again, right? You can go through everything again on your own to have more insight about it. So for your homework, I said that you should do what? Facebook. So you create this login that should have your email and your password and sign up. So that's the first one, right? Are creating Facebook sign up and login. Don't do the CSS, so just do the HTML. I know I've not taught you CSS, so don't do the CSS. Also, you also be doing this travel reservation, right? You also be doing this travel reservation. So I'll copy. I'll send this. So you do this what travel reservation. You do this one. Then this last one. So this one is that you are creating a registration form. So this example will be a guide. So you are going to combine several of the form controls to make up a site registration. So part of your assignment folder that you already have, right? So you create another link that has what form.html. Then you do all of these assignments. Do we all get the assignment? Should I repeat it?
Can you go over the third one?
So for the third one, you are creating a what? Registration form, right? So this is the registration form. So you are doing that, you are going to combine several of the form. So what you are doing is that you are going to combine several of the form controls to make up a site registration. So this site registration, you follow these exercises. You create a new transitional HTML 1.1 document with skeleton in place. Then you add a heading and introduction to what the user should be doing. Don't use XHTML 1.0. Instead, use doc type, right? Then when you do your doc type, use your normal doc type. Don't use all those things. Then you do your normal registration. You follow this, you use your username, your password, gender. So it will be something like this at the end. Can you see it? So at the end, it will be something like this: username, password, gender, GM. Well, it's similar to this Facebook one. Let's not do this one. Let's not do this one. Let's just do this two. It's similar to this sign up. Can you see it? It's the same thing, actually. So forget the third one. So just do two.
Okay, you can send the copy of the third one, so we can use it as a mark line.
Oh, okay. All right. So any questions so far? I know some things in the form would have not been exactly clear. So if you need any help, let me know. So don't forget, the first one is the Facebook. The second one is this travel reservation. And the third one is this one, right? Creating a registration form. And this should just do only the HTML. Don't do CSS to it. Just only do the markup. So do we have any question so far? Merube, do you want to say something?
No.
No,
this the form, the elements in the form are quite numerous. So I'll just go through it and find my way out.
Yes, it's actually a lot. I guess I should have just only focused on it today. And you're supposed to catch up on the remaining ones by yourself. But regardless, I trust that we will still be able to meet up, right? We'll still be able to meet up and to do all that we ought to do.
Hello, ma.
Yes.
Please, concerning the assignments, can we get a template for each of them?
if you click on the link, you see the templates. Let me share my screen. So can you see the one for this? Can you see the template for the travel reservation? I've sent the link. So for the travel reservation, the template is there already. For the Facebook, the template is there.
Okay.
So can you see?
Yes, sir.
And for the third one, the registration form, the template is at the last place. So the template is there, how it should look like is already there.
Okay.
Yes. So don't forget, it's just only what the HTML you should do. Don't do the CSS. Right. So don't do the CSS, just do the HTML.
Hello, sorry, I don't have the link for the Facebook. Can you resend it? Sorry.
I didn't even send it at all. I just saw that if you just click on Facebook sign up, you will see it.
Okay.
All right. So any question? I also had something for but it seems, right. So I'm going to fix the other one. We'll fix it later. I mean, next we'll do
Sorry, we didn't get that where your
the
line
other
is.
thing that I had in mind. So, okay. I said that the assignment I've given you is already enough. I wanted to give you guys something extra. Okay, I wanted to give you the calculator. Actually, true. I wanted to give you the calculator. You do it on Monday. That will be your homework on Monday. To do the calculator. Let me know. Make it.
Please give us the assignments so that we can start practicing them.
The
calculator.
This thing, don't worry, I'll give you the calculator on.
Why I'm saying that we can start, we can start.
Calculator. Don't worry, I'll give you on Monday. That will be better. Because there's a lot of things that I'm supposed to do. Normally, what we have for Monday was going to be the So you do that and you go through it. The calculator is actually a lot, right? The only thing we did here from this iframes to this XML is what? So the only thing you can see is what? The only thing that we've done is the layout and the layout and the responsive. So did we get that? So did we all get that? Please respond though. All right. So apart from the registration assignment, everything here that we didn't complete, you have to complete everything on your own. Then on Monday, I'll give rooms for questions, because on Monday is going to be the last day we're going to treat HTML, right? On Monday will be the last day we'll treat HTML. Then from on Tuesday, we're going to pick up CSS. And on Tuesday, we'll use it to do everything about CSS. Then next week, Monday, which will be the third week, The Monday, I'm going to teach you, we'll do a revision on CSS, right? We'll be doing on Monday, and I'll be teaching you a platform at which, when I group you guys, right? You guys will be able to connect as a group to work on your project together. So it's GitHub. I don't know if any of you have heard about GitHub before. So I'll take you through GitHub, how you can post your project on GitHub, and all the necessary things you need on GitHub. So any question?
Yeah, my question is that I have a question. Can I go on? Okay, so is there a way to kind of skip coding from scratch? Let's say you want to develop a website. Instead of coding from scratch and writing everything from scratch, is there a way to just kind of pick a template and edit, add your own features and all that, and then deploy?
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah, how can I go about that?
But to do that, you have to actually know elements. You actually have to know CSS, because if you're trying to if you're trying to make changes, you need to know where those changes should be applied. You need to, that's like you must already know about HTML for you to be able to edit the templates. If you don't know about HTML, if you don't know about CSS, you'll not be able to edit the templates successfully, because you're not doing drag and drop, right? Is if you're doing drag and drop like the way we do for Google Forms, that's when you don't need to know the back end. HTML and CSS has not gotten to the level where you do drag and drop yet, right? So you still need to know when you should apply the changes that you need to make. If, for instance, if you're trying to add your pictures, if you don't know how to link pictures, you will not successfully link your own pictures well, right? And if you don't know how to link maybe your file paths, you will not be able to successfully do that when you are trying to do your own. So it's better you have knowledge on your HTML elements, you understand what your elements do and all that it entails, so that when you're trying to make changes and corrections, or just trying to like improve on the templates that you've gotten, you will know what you're doing. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, I get that. But how do I get the templates?
There are different templates online, right? So you can get, you
It's
can
on GitHub.
search. You can see some people's work on GitHub. Some people have posted their own work on GitHub, but reference them, make them know that, oh yes, you're trying to use their work, right? So there are some work on GitHub. You can also see from W3 schools. I showed you some from W3 schools, some templates from W3 schools. You can see from W3 schools. You can see from WordPress. WordPress also has templates. You can see from different places, but beyond using templates, just make sure that you understand where you can make the correct changes or the correct editing, so your website can come out.
All right.
Yes, so that's it. So there are different types online. You can check W3 schools, you can check WordPress, you can check on GitHub. There are a couple of them. So any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Any other question? I guess I'll ask my own question, right? So my own question will be for someone to give me a recap. of all that we've done so far. Can I call on anybody to do that? So Beauty and Elizabeth. Elizabeth is no longer here, but Elizabeth was active a few minutes ago. So Beauty, can you help out? Beauty, are you there? Beauty, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so give me a recap quickly.
Okay, so from where I picked from, where I joined from, we talked about HTML forms, how to set up a Google form, how to get inputs. We looked at the input elements, the label elements, and input type range, and so many other parts of the elements. Well, where I really actually followed through was the aspect of the Google form. Where we talked about. Let me check. It's okay. I want me to beat you.
Is that all, Beauty?
Yes, that's all for now. Please, I'm being distracted.
Oh, thank you so much. Anybody else wants to try? Elizabeth, I noticed you were active today. Can you give me a run? Okay, Adedamola, I can see you raising your hands up. Can you ask your question? Can you ask your question, Adedamola? I can see you raise your hand. Okay, Adedamola is not saying anything. Can you hear him? Who else wants to help out by giving a summary of a recap? Peace, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, can you give us a recap of all that you learned today?
Okay. You started with layouts. How we can use section tag, header tag, nav tag, footer, and all those things to build a website, and how our website can be responsive. That's under HTML. Yes, responsive. How it can be, we can use Bootstrap or something, a framework, CSS framework, something framework. We can use grid. We can use float. We can use flex. And then we can also use media query to control the flexibility of the website. That means it will display well on any kind of device that we are using to open the website, maybe your mobile phone, your tab, maybe any of the iPhone series or your laptop. Then you went to forms. We talked about the form attributes, the get and post method, and the different input attributes, the different types of input attributes. Maybe you want to do the text, password, email, radio, checkbox, and the rest like that. That's how far I can go.
All right, thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was really
that
detailed.
was Peace, not Elizabeth. Oh.
Sorry, Peace. I'm very sorry, Peace. I was one person that called you, and I ended up calling you Elizabeth. Peace. Thank you, Peace. So I guess that's all for today. Anybody, do you have any other question? Please, next week, let's all try to make sure that our gadgets, we all know that we will have class, right? We all know. And we know that, okay, NEPA may not give us light at a particular point, and they may give us light at a particular point. So let's prepare beforehand for the class so that we'll be able to follow. Right? I understand that sometimes the NEPA condition can be beyond our control, but we can still make it work, right? So any other question? If you don't have any other question or anything to see, I guess it's time I call Tolu. Tolu, are you there? Tolu? Tolu, are you there? Tolu? Tolu, are you there? Tolu? Can someone help me text Tolu? I've gone off WhatsApp so that I can save my battery to be on this class. God can just help me text her to let her know that we're done, so we can round up. But me, I'm done at my end. And if you have any questions over the weekend, my DM is opened, right? So take your questions. And if you've not submitted your assignment, if you are owing an assignment from this week, please make sure you submit your assignment. Make sure you submit your assignment. So that's all for today. Let's just wait for Tolu till she comes. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, for the time. Let's do also have a great weekend and enjoy yourself. Bye for now.
Thank you, Miss Titi.
You're welcome, Tolu. We are done.